For nearly 2 years, older shoppers have been telling me the same thing in the comments on this channel. They would describe one small Dollar Tree item they used to buy regularly, explain why it made everyday life easier, and then say the same disappointing sentence. I have not seen it in months. I think it is gone for good. I heard that sentence so many times that I started keeping a list. Not a list of random products, a list of very specific items that people genuinely missed. Items that helped with reading, cooking, organizing, gardening, playing cards, carrying essentials, and managing ordinary routines without unnecessary frustration. Some viewers said store employees had told them the products were discontinued. Others said they had checked several options and found nothing. A few people kept returning to the same comment month after month, hoping someone would eventually have an answer. Well, this week, I finally have one. All 12 of the items on that list are back. They have been confirmed in stores, and not just in one lucky location. Checked more than one Dollar Tree before putting this video together, because I did not want to create excitement over a single shelf that might have been a one-time delivery. The items appeared in a connected restocking wave, and that is important because several of them had been missing for a very long time. So today, I am going through all 12, in the order they disappeared, starting with the item people had been asking about the longest. I will explain what each one does, who may find it useful, what it costs, and why some of these ordinary little products became so important to the people who used them. And please stay with me through number 9. That one has the most unusual backstory on the entire list. It is not the most expensive item, and it is not the most complicated, but one viewer has been waiting for that exact product for years. When I finally saw it back on the shelf, I understood why she kept asking about it. Before we begin, there is one thing I want to make clear. Store inventory can vary by location, and Dollar Tree does not always receive the same shipment at the same time. Finding an item in one store does not guarantee that every store has it today. But this was not a single store fluke. These products were found across more than one location, which is a good sign that the restock is broader than one fortunate delivery. If your store does not have everything yet, do not assume the item is gone again. It may simply be arriving in a different shipment. With that said, let us start with the item that began this entire list, item 1. The large print television program notepad. The first item is a large print television program guide notepad. It has oversized boxes for each day of the week, clear, bold lines, and enough space to write down the programs you want to watch, and the times they begin. The price is $1.25. A comparable large print planning notepad from an office supply store can cost $6, $7, or even $9, depending on the brand and the size. That is what makes a product like this useful. It puts control back in your hands. You can write the program name, the time, the channel, or even a reminder to record it. The boxes are large enough that you do not have to squeeze the words into a tiny space, and the bold lines make the page easier to follow at a glance. If you used to keep a television guide near the phone or on the coffee table, this is the kind of simple replacement that may be worth looking for. It is inexpensive, practical, and familiar. Sometimes the best solution is not a new digital feature. Sometimes it is a clearly printed page that does exactly what you need. And that brings us to the second item, which helps with another routine many people still handle at the kitchen table: opening the mail. 2. The foam-handled magnifying letter opener. The second item is a foam-handled magnifying letter opener. It combines two tools into one, a sturdy letter opener and a real magnifying lens built into the handle. It costs $1.25. Similar combination tools from specialty stores can cost $8 to $12. This tool keeps both functions together. The foam grip gives the hand something comfortable to hold, while the lens can help you inspect a small printed detail without having to search for another tool. It is especially convenient at a desk, a kitchen table, or wherever you usually sort the mail. Of course, if a document is important or difficult to read, always use the method that gives you the clearest view, whether that means stronger reading glasses, a separate magnifier, or asking someone you trust to help. For ordinary envelopes and short printed notes, having a lens already attached to the tool can make a simple task feel much less awkward. The next item is for people who enjoy a weekly card game, a quiet game of solitaire for a family gathering around the kitchen table. It also solves a problem that becomes especially noticeable when the lighting is not perfect in 3. Oversized high contrast. Playing item 3 is a set of oversized, high contrast playing cards. The numbers and suits are printed larger than on a standard deck, using bold black and red lettering against a bright white background. The set costs $2. A large print deck from a specialty game store can cost $7 to $10. These cards are designed to be easier to see from a little farther away. The larger printing and strong contrast do not change the game, but they can remove some of the unnecessary effort. That matters because cards are supposed to bring people together. They should not leave someone feeling embarrassed about asking for the same card to be read several times. The cards can also be helpful for quiet games played alone. Whether you prefer solitaire, bridge, rummy, or another familiar game, the point is the same. You should be able to see the cards without turning the activity into a test for your eyes. Now, number 4 is not glamorous, but it may be one of the most useful items on this list. It helps with a problem that almost every household encounters sooner or later. Item 4. The rubberized jar opening grip mat. Item 4 is a rubberized jar opening grip mat. The material is textured on both sides, so one side can help you grip the lid while the other helps hold the jar steady on the counter. It cost $1.25. A similar dual-sided grip mat from a kitchen store can cost $5 to $8. A grip mat does not require much space, and it does not involve a complicated mechanism. You place it over the lid, hold the jar steady with the other piece of material, and try again. The textured surface helps reduce slipping, which can make the motion feel more controlled. We are 4 items in, and already the pattern is becoming clear. These are not decorations or novelty products. They are inexpensive tools that make ordinary routines more comfortable. The next 2 items focus on seeing clearly and keeping the mind engaged. And one of them was connected to a comment that I remembered for more than a year. If you have already seen one of the first 4 items returned to your store, tell me which one. A simple comment with the name of the store area where you found it can help another viewer know where to look. Item 5. The cordless, illuminated, magnifying makeup mirror. Item 5 is a cordless, illuminated magnifying makeup mirror. Battery-powered ring light is built around the mirror, creating a more even light around the face instead of relying on one dim bulb above the bathroom. The price is $2. For comparable lighted magnifying mirror from a beauty or department store can cost $15 to $25. The mirror is cordless, so it can be moved from one room to another without running an extension cord across the counter. It can sit on a bathroom vanity, a bedroom table, or another steady surface. As always, check the battery compartment and make sure the mirror is placed where it cannot be knocked over easily. What I appreciate about this item is that it supports independence in a very ordinary way. Personal care is not a luxury or something that should become frustrating just because the lighting in a room is poor. Being able to see what you are doing clearly can make a familiar routine feel comfortable again. And if you are wondering whether the next item is only for people who love puzzles, stay with me. The people who asked for this one were not necessarily looking for a new hobby. They were trying to return to an old one. Item 6. The large print crossword and word search book. Item 6 is a large print crossword and word search activity book. The letters are noticeably larger, the grid squares are more open, and the cover is soft enough to hold comfortably in your lap or at a table. It costs $1.25. A comparable large print puzzle book from a bookstore can cost $6 to $9. One viewer described missing her nightly crossword habit. She said she had not stopped enjoying puzzles. She had stopped enjoying the squinting, the cramped grids, and the feeling that every page was asking her eyes to work harder than her brain. When she found a large print book, she began doing a few clues again each evening. That is why the format matters. A larger grid gives you room to write. Bigger letters make the page easier to scan. The soft cover is more comfortable when the book is held for a while. None of these details is dramatic on its own, but together they can make the difference between putting the book down and returning to it tomorrow. The next item is more practical, and I want to describe it carefully because anything involving reaching or stepping should be used responsibly. It is not about taking unnecessary risks. It is about having more stability when a small reach cannot be avoided. Item 7. Foldable step stool with a support handle. Item 7 is a foldable step stool with a wider non-slip platform and a side handle that provides support while stepping up or down. It costs $3. For comparable step stool with a support handle from a hardware store can cost $18 to $28. But please use common sense. A step stool should sit completely flat on the floor. Do not place it on a rug that slides. Do not overreach to one side, and do not use it if the hinges or platform feel loose. If a task requires a ladder, another person's or professional assistance, use the safer option. The point of this product is to reduce awkward reaching, not to encourage anyone to climb beyond. Potwatchills or cure. Viewer told me she liked the handle because it made her feel more confident getting down from the stool, which is the part people sometimes forget. The downward step can be just as important as the upward one. A little support can make the motion more controlled. Now we are moving to a product that addresses one of the most frustrating objects in many homes, the television remote. Item 8. Extra large remote button covers. Item 8 is a set of extra large button covers that slip over standard television or cable remote buttons. They make commonly used buttons easier to see and easier to press accurately. The price is $1.25. A comparable button oval kit from an electronics store can cost $7 to $10. Large button covers can help identify the controls you use most often. Depending on the set, you may choose to highlight the power button, channel controls, volume, mute, or guide. The idea is not to enlarge every button in the entire remote. It is to make the important ones easier to find. Before applying anything, make sure the remote is clean and dry, and place each cover carefully so it does not interfere with nearby buttons. If the covers make a button difficult to press, remove or reposition them. A helpful accessory should simplify the remote, not make it more crowded. 8 items are now accounted for and 4 remain. The next one is the item I mentioned at the beginning, the one with the strangest backstory and the strongest connection to memory. It is also the reason I began thinking about these products as more than simple restocks. So let us talk about the tomato timer. Item 9. The classic wind-up tomato kitchen timer. Item 9 is a wind-up kitchen timer shaped like a classic tomato. It has the old-fashioned mechanical design, a twist dial, a loud ticking sound, and a bell that rings when the time is finished. Price is $1.25. A comparable mechanical timer from a specialty kitchen store can cost $10 to $15. One person told me she had given her last tomato timer to her granddaughter. It was the timer she had used in her own kitchen when the granddaughter was little. She said she was happy to pass it along, but after that, she missed having one for herself. She kept checking Dollar Tree whenever she went shopping, hoping the tomato timer would return. When I saw it on the shelf, I immediately thought of that comment. Of course, mechanical timers are not laboratory instruments, and they should not be used when an exact timing requirement is critical. But for cookies, tea, a pot on the stove, resting dough, or a reminder to check something in the oven, the simplicity is often exactly what people want. The tomato shape matters too. It is cheerful without being complicated. It resembles something many people remember seeing in an older kitchen, perhaps beside a recipe box or near the stove. That familiar shape can bring back a time when a kitchen had fewer screens and every tool had one clear purpose. Flockskis, the moment that stayed with me was not finding the timer itself. It was realizing that someone had been looking for a small object connected to a relationship and a memory. She had given away something meaningful, and she was not asking for a modern replacement. She wanted the same simple object back in her own kitchen. That is why number 9 is different. The other items solve practical problems, and this one does too, but it also represents the comfort of a routine that still feels like yours. Now, after that nostalgic item, we return to something very practical for anyone who carries keys, glasses, a phone, medication, or other essentials while going out. Item 10. The padded wide strap crossbody organizer. Item 10 is a padded wide strap crossbody bag organizer. It is designed to sit across the body instead of hanging from just one shoulder. It also includes oversized zipper pulls and separate compartments. The price is $2. A similar organizer bag from a department store can cost $12 to $18. A lot of people carry the same essentials every day: a wallet, keys, glasses, a phone, tissues, hand lotion, a small notebook or medication that has been prescribed for use outside the home. When all of those things are mixed into one deep compartment, finding the keys can become a full search operation. When you try one on, adjust the strap so the bag rests comfortably and does not swing too low. Keep important items secure, especially in crowded places, and avoid overloading it simply because there are extra compartments available. The best organizers is the one that stays light enough to carry comfortably. This is another example of a product that may appear ordinary until you use it every day. For a little less shoulder strain and a little less searching can make an entire outing feel easier. The next item is also about organization, but it serves a much more important daily purpose. It has one small feature that viewers specifically said they had missed: a clear, audible click. Item 11. The large print weekly pill organizer. Item 11 is a large print weekly pill organizer. Each compartment has a clearly printed day or time label, and the lid makes an audible click when it closes securely. It cost $1.50. A similar click-close organizer from a pharmacy can cost $8 to $12. That click was the detail people mentioned most often. A lid can look closed without being fully secured. Hearing the click gives you another way to know that the compartment is shut. It is a small reassurance that when the organizer is part of your daily routine, small reassurances matter. For people who already use a weekly organizer, the large print and secure closure may make the routine more convenient. For someone helping a spouse or family member organize medications, it may also make the compartments easier to identify. The goal is clarity, not complexity. And now we have reached the 12th and final item. This last one is for people who refuse to give up one of the most satisfying hobbies of all: gardening. Item 12. Oversized soft grip garden tools. The final item is a set of oversized soft grip garden tools. The set includes a trowel and a hand cultivator with cushioned handles designed to be easier to hold through a longer period of planting, weeding, or loosening soil. The set costs $2.50. For a comparable ergonomic set from a garden center can cost $15 to $22. A wider soft handle can feel more natural in the hand. It may be easier to hold without squeezing as tightly, and the cushioning can make the tool more comfortable during repeated movements. That does not mean everyone will find the same handle suitable. Hands differ. For anyone with significant hand pain, should choose tools carefully and stop if a motion causes discomfort. One viewer told me she had started gardening in shorter sessions because her old tools hurt her hand. She said she did not want to stop growing flowers. She only wanted tools that did not make her pay for the hobby afterward. That is exactly the kind of need this set addresses. So those are all 12 items: the large print television guide, the magnifying letter opener, the oversized playing cards, the jar grip mat, the illuminated mirror, the large print puzzle book, the supportive step stool, the remote button covers, the tomato timer, the crossbody organizer, the large print pill organizer, and the soft grip garden tools. But before we finish, I want to talk about what this restock may actually mean. Why did all 12 return together? When several specific products disappear and then return within the same short period, it usually means something changed in the supply or ordering process. It could be a supplier issue, a seasonal buying cycle, a warehouse adjustment, or a decision to bring more attention to practical products that shoppers consistently request. I do not know which explanation is correct, and I do not want to pretend that I have inside information. What I can say is that 12 products with similar practical uses, returning in a connected wave, is a pattern. It is different from finding one forgotten item in the back of a sizzle store. For a senior shopper, familiar item is not always replaceable by the newest version. A digital timer may technically perform the same function as a wind-up timer, but it does not feel the same. A complicated remote may offer more features than a simple one, but extra features do not help if the buttons are difficult to see. A standard puzzle book may contain the same clues as a large print book, but the experience changes when reading the clues becomes tiring. That is why these products matter. They are designed around ordinary routines. And ordinary routines are where convenience is felt most strongly. I also want to say something directly to the people who kept asking about the items. You were right to keep mentioning them. I know it can feel as if a comment disappears to an empty room when months pass and nothing seems to change. But specific comments are how this list began. Someone named the exact size of a notepad. Someone remembered the tomato shape. Someone explained that the remote buttons were too small. Someone said the jar grip had saved them from asking for help every time they opened a jar. Those details matter. I miss the old kitchen timer is useful. I miss the red tomato-shaped wind-up timer with the loud bell. Is something a person can actually search for. So if there is another item you have noticed disappearing, tell me about it in the comments. Please include as much detail as you remember. The color, the shape, the size, what shelf it used to be on, and what you used it for. If you know the name printed on the package, include that too. The more specific the description, the easier it is to recognize the product if it appears again. And if your local store does not have all 12 yet, give it some time. Check the seasonal area, the kitchen section, the stationery shelves, the health and personal care aisle, and the small household tools section. Some stores place restocked items in a slightly different location, especially when the shipment arrives with several categories mixed together. You can also ask an employee politely whether a delivery is expected. Although inventory information may differ from store to store, the item that stayed with me most was still the tomato timer. Not because it solves the biggest problem on the list. The jar grip, the large print organizer, and the step stool may be more immediately practical for some people. The tomato timer stayed with me because it showed that usefulness is not always about saving time or effort. Sometimes usefulness is about preserving a feeling, a twist dial, a steady tick, a bell from the kitchen, for small objects sitting beside the stove exactly where you expect it to be. Those details may seem insignificant to someone who has never used one, but to the person who grew up with that routine, they can make a modern kitchen feel familiar again. If this kind of careful shelf checking is useful to you, please consider subscribing. I am asking because following specific requests takes time, remembering comments, checking more than one location, and returning when the first visit does not provide an answer. A growing channel makes it easier to keep investigating the products viewers actually want. Please also press like if you found at least one item useful. A like helps this video reach people who may have stopped checking because they assumed gone meant gone forever. Someone may have been looking for the large print cards for a weekly game. Someone else may have needed the jar grip or the remote covers, but never knew they had returned. Thank you for staying with me through all 12 items, through the comments that built this list, and through the long wait for a real answer. If even one of these products makes a familiar routine easier, more comfortable, or more enjoyable, then this restocks was worth talking about. And if you have a 13th item that belongs on this list, I am already listening. Tell me what disappeared, what it looked like, what you used it for, and why you still miss it. I will keep checking. I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care, check carefully, and remember, sometimes the small item you thought was gone forever is simply waiting for the next shipment to come back home.